weeks from now, we're looking at yet another disaster about to be imposed upon Mendocino County. And they're out there. We know the things that have been passed 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago are in the works, and the rules are being written, and we have no input, we have no knowledge of where they are, how they stand, and how they're going to kill Mendocino County as a viable economic entity in the near future.
Supervisor McCowan?
I just wanted to clarify the motion that it was my intent that staff draft the letter, but the letter to be signed by the chair from the unanimous Board of Supervisors. And also for county, part of the direction I think we should give independent of the motion is for county council to review the issue of takings, and if she believes it's appropriate to send a letter on that topic independently. And that also, you know, if you're willing to attend, assuming we don't get a local hearing, if you're willing to go to Santa Rosa to speak, that's great. If you think you wouldn't be able to attend, we should identify that now so we can get a volunteer, because we won't have a meeting prior to that. And also, you could coordinate with the CEO to see if the CEO should also go and attend.
Okay, what we're talking about here is a motion and a second. The motion on the floor is for the recommended action of this letter, which is for the HHSA agency to send a letter. What I'm talking about is, I support that as a start, but I think we need to do a follow-up letter from our county council, and kind of the direction is to have the CEO's office with county council come back at our next meeting and tell us, kind of lay out what our game plan is going to be.
Well, that was my understanding as the second on the motion, that Supervisor McCowan, I believe in his motion, supported the specific technical comments that have been brought forward from our Director of Environmental Health. So we're supporting that, but in addition to that, we're supporting the drafting of the letter as he just referenced. I would believe with that department in concert with the CEO and with County Council that talks about some of the specifics from Mr. Rao's letter, I think you mentioned, and the letter from the Mendocino County Farm Bureau, some of those key points, the one size doesn't fit all, and to elaborate on some of those key objections that are very real and present here, and then that would go under the chair's signature, and that should happen expeditiously. And then in addition to that, council is going to research the concept of takings and bring back to the board further information, again in concert with the CEO. And the additional component that, because in that letter we would also be asking for a local hearing, but that you would be prepared to go and testify if that doesn't occur. So did I capture all those things?
Well, I think we're getting close, and I think your interpretation in the whole might be more accurate. So the direction seems to be that the motion will be the recommended action for letter number 1. Staff will work to prepare letter number 2 for the chair to sign on behalf of the unanimous board. With regard to county council, I'd like to give direction that at her discretion, if she believes the takings issue has merit, she could send a letter to that effect without it coming back to the board.
Well, we have time here in our next meeting, because they're gonna come back at our next meeting. Tom, you wanted to comment?
This is going to happen sooner.
We don't meet next week, I believe.
The hearing's not until the same day, is it?
We need to get this letter out, both of
Yeah.
these letters out
Yeah.
immediately.
I was just going to say, Tom Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer, just for members of the public that are listening to the dialogue, AB 885 was originally signed into law by Governor Gray Davis on September 28th, year 2000. Was sponsored by member Hannah Beth Jackson in February of 1999. So much like we saw recently having to do with the CARB regulations related to diesel vehicles, what is happening in many areas of government, it is the regulatory agencies that are not being properly monitored by all levels of government. CSAC is changing some of the nature of their work, our association, because they have found that while we're very well position to analyze legislation as it occurs. What's happening once legislation gets passed, it is the regulatory agencies that are creating this reverse economic stimulus. And that's the area that CSAC intends to engage on more in the next year, because that is just absolutely killing the economy. So just wanted, for those members of the public that didn't understand, this has been going on for 10 years now, and we're finally at the end of the race, and now we're finding out the economy has dramatically changed over the last 10 years, and that's why we do need to get involved more seriously.
So this meeting in Santa Rosa is actually on our board day? 7 o'clock in the evening, okay. Okay, I think we have, well, let's vote on this motion. Go ahead, sure.
I'd just like to stand and say that if somebody here can't pick up the phone and call either Victoria Whitney or Pam, there ain't gonna be a chance in heck that we're gonna have a meeting here in Ukiah. Now, Carrie met with them the other day, or at least one of them. They're personable, and they do have our interest at stake. But Victoria Whitney, from her position, could say that there would be a meeting here tomorrow, and there'd be one here. I'm just saying that I applaud everything you're doing here, but you're not giving us them a chance to get us a meeting here. That's the first one.
Well, I guess
And so,
I'll do
you
what
know,
I can to
there
see if
is
that'll
a
happen.
phone number there, and if
Yeah.
you don't have it, which I'm sure you do, that we can get it for you. But that would be the first thing that I would suggest, that you try to work with the people over there at the State Water Resources Control Board and let them know that there's a letter coming. But let them know that you're very unhappy and you want it here. And that may, I'm saying it may, expedite that portion of it. And I can guarantee you, they've been very personable and helpful to us on the North Coast on AB 2121 and several other things. So that's just a suggestion to you that you add to your overall motion. Thank you.
Christie, if this afternoon, if we can try to get that number, and I'll try to make contact on that and see if we can maybe announce if we can get a meeting here in this county. But if not, certainly I will attend the evening meeting in Santa Rosa. Okay, let's vote on the motion. Just all those in favor?
Just one final thing before your board adopts. I just got an email from Don Peterson, our legislative advocate, and he's telling me the regulations will be implemented 6 months after the State Water Board adopts them. The board staff will prepare a full EIR after the February 9th hearing. Sometime after that, the board will decide whether or not to go ahead with the regulations. So there does appear to be an avenue here, I would suggest, with the full EIR process, that we may be able to intervene also. So that message was from Don Peterson, our legislative advocate.
Okay, with that, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. And Tom, you and County Council has clear direction. And another thing, we need to be fully in contact with our legislative representatives here that are locally to make, I was surprised that they weren't here today at this meeting. Supervisor McCown.
And part of the direction also is to work with the California State Association of Counties to make sure they're on top of this as well.
Yeah, okay. Supervisor Brown.
Yes, I'd just like to thank Mr. Lee Howard and North Coast Builders Exchange for really getting the ball rolling on this, and all the work you did. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and then if the board agrees, because we got County Council and Supervisor Colfax, and I believe Supervisor Smith, that have a meeting in Fort Bragg early this evening. So if we can take a 5-minute break, and then if we can go into closed session, say till no later than 12:30, and that will still give us an hour lunch hour, okay?
Okay.
So
Yeah, we can take a 2-minute break if we can do it.
Can you be in closed session